What's up, guys? Welcome back to Road to the 2 Comic Club. Justin here, and another 2-day recap. Obviously, 26th and the 27th are today's videos we're going to go over. Just going to get through it as fast as we can so we can keep this rolling. So the stocks as a whole on the 26th did pretty well. They did take a dip in the late afternoon, but they did finish, in the green, which is always good. We did do a lot of trades today, so I want to talk about that real quick. So if you look at the screen here, we have, again, like I did in the last video, I put the companies in that one column, and then you'll notice I put the price that the stock was trading at when I did the transaction. So with Amazon, you can see there, when I sold the call on the 19th, it was trading around $1,706. And then I was successfully able to get back into that position while it was trading lower. So, paid less price for the options that I was looking at. And you can see there, we got 34 grand when we sold it. And then we spent 23.5 getting back into that position. So I was definitely happy about how that one played out. I also bought some GE calls, and I'm trying to remember why exactly I did that. I think it was just because I figured their price was kind of bottoming out, so I decided to why not give it a try. I didn't risk, obviously, too much money on this position, but I did buy 5 calls to expire in January 2017, $18 strike price, and it was, GE was trading around $13.70 a share at the time. Also with Square, so again, on the 19th, I sold the last 3 calls that I had, and then picked up 2 more on the 26th, $75 strike price, and we were able to get in at a lower price when the stock was trading lower. So that was awesome. I also sold a covered call on my Citigroup shares because I forgot that I had 100 shares of that I could sell a covered call on that. Now, I did have to go closer to the at-the-money price because the implied volatility is so low just in general on this stock. You're not going to get a lot of money selling covered calls for this particular stock. So I believe when I checked the price, it was around 66, but I can't remember exactly. It might have been a little bit lower than that. But I did have to go $66.50 strike for the call option. So we got $32.33. Again, had I gone any higher with this strike price, I would have been looking at almost no money, and it wouldn't have been worth it for me to even sell it. So I decided, I don't care if I lose these shares. I really don't. So if it expires in the money and I lose the shares, that's fine with me. I'm not in love with this stock anyway. So also sold Lam Research, sold 2 calls for that, and I did not do very well on that one. So they were doing very well, I think, when I picked it up. Excuse me. And we lost 88% there. With Intel, I sold my last 5. I think they were my last 5 Intel calls, and also lost some money with that one. But I think I was trying to free up some money, to make some more trades. So with Weight Watchers, this was one of the calls that I did get into at a higher price because I was waiting for them to come down, and they just were not coming down at all. So on the 19th, when I sold my 2 calls, it was trading around $97.88. But when I bought one more call, when I got back into that position, I picked a higher strike, but the stock was trading higher. So, we can't win them all, but I'm happy with that. But I do want to point out, speaking of Weight Watchers, if you look at this chart from their last 5 years, they're on a huge run. And if you check out right around here where I circled January of 2017 is when they went on their huge run. I can't remember if we got into Weight Watchers last year. I don't remember, but we have been into that position. We have been investing in them for a while, so we saw some really good gains with them. But I really, really wish I would have bought some calls in January of last year because that would have been awesome. Okay, so let's get into our positions. And before I do that, I did want to mention, hold on one second. I do want to mention that, so going back to the stocks, Netflix and Amazon did really well, but GE, speaking of GE, we just talked about them, they did go up 7.8% a share on their first day, not in the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and we'll talk about them later on. But yeah, so let's go back into the positions. So our best performers today, we had Tesla and Nvidia and Netflix all gave us really, really solid percent returns, and we made about $1,000 on all 3 of those, so that's awesome. On the second page, we had not a whole lot, because you can see we only made about $2,700 today, according to that balance up there. And on the third page, our Alcoa calls actually went up 21.5%, so that was really pretty solid, but we're still down quite a bit. As you can see on the far right of your screen there, we're still down around 62.5% overall on that position. So these next 3 pages, I'm not really going to go over because they were the middle pages, and it takes too long, obviously, to manually update them. So here's the third to last page. Most of them were correct in terms of accuracy, but the GoPro call, we did lose 28.5% on that one, and that one we're almost down 100% on that one. So yeah, not a good one. And then Sprint went up a penny. You know, these are all kind of stupid right here. But in terms of some of our most valuable positions, let's see. Boeing, we did actually went up, even though it showed down. So same with Sprint. But yeah, nothing really great to report here. Here's our last page. We did lose about 5% on our QQQ puts, which makes sense because the stocks went up on this day. So our puts usually will lose money when that happens. And then our SPY put, we also lost some money. So there you go. So now let's go into the next day, the 27th, and we'll look at how the stocks did. So let's, or actually no, well, I probably should talk about the news first, shouldn't I? So the news for the 26th were with GE, and I'll post links to all these in the description. Again, trade worries, yet again, big surprise there. You know, kind of, you know, affects the markets, how it's been doing. But GE, I do want to talk about GE. So let me pull up some of these notes I have here. So the CEO is explaining what he's going to do to turn around the company. And there's some really interesting articles about what they're doing. They're like spinning off some of their businesses, and they're going to decrease the size of their headquarters. So it's kind of interesting. That's kind of, maybe that's why I bought those calls. I don't know, but we'll see how that pans out. But you know, it was a good entry point because they're so low. I figured it wasn't a huge gamble. And let's go. So with the next one, let's see. We have Dow may declare independence from volatility in July, historically strong month. So that's a good article talking about how July is usually really good for the Dow and the Nasdaq. Not Nasdaq, but the Dow and S&P 500. And then with Amazon, they are making a partnership with American Express, which I didn't know that, to launch a credit card for small businesses. So that's actually something I might be looking into because I do have a small business, and maybe it could be beneficial. Who knows? But if that interests you, click the link in the description below. So Amazon is expanding Whole Foods deliveries to these 5 cities, and Chicago was one of those 5 cities. San Antonio was another one, and I forget the other 3, but link in the description, obviously. But I am excited about that because I live in a suburb of Chicago, so I'm not sure if it'll apply to the Whole Foods that's near my house, but I do live within about 10 minutes of one, so it could be a convenient thing if it is for that one, but we'll see. Also, Netflix gets a huge price target increase, so this was pretty exciting. So Netflix did go up a lot today, about $15, and they had a price target increase from David Miller from Imperial Capital, who gave them a $503 price target, which is just nuts because, you know, they briefly hit $400 a share, then they kind of fell back down, but they're on their way back up. And it would be just phenomenal if they could hit $500. But I do think they could. And the reasons he talks about in the article, which are really good reasons, are reasons I agree with. So I'll definitely check out that article to see his reasons why he put such a big price target. Also, Netflix is working to improve its diversity among their staff. So that's awesome. You know, it's always good to have a diverse staff because it gets people different perspectives on everything. I think that's good. So tech stocks and this momentum indicator, I'm not going to talk about this one, but are at their coziest since just before the dot-com bust. I'm going to post a link to that in the description because an interesting correlation, but they do talk about the differences between now and 1999. Now with Tesla, some kid, 18-year-old kid, apparently was driving his Tesla 116 miles per hour and then skidded and hit the wall, and he unfortunately passed away, and one of the other 2 people in the car passed away. I think it's a good lesson to show that even if you're in the most safest car in the world, which is a Tesla Model S, traveling at certain speeds there's not much you can do. And it said like he saw a flashing sign that was, you know, I guess the lane was maybe narrowing, but it had a 25 mile per hour speed limit posted. And when you're going almost 100 miles per hour faster than that, it doesn't give you hardly any reaction time. So, I mean, I don't think it's anything negative for Tesla, but I think any car traveling at that speed, you're not going to survive if you crash. It's just too fast. But anyways, let's just go to June 27th. So stocks were doing really well in the beginning, and then all of a sudden they took a huge U-turn with a quickness. And again, reasons, trade war stuff, like uncertainty, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, I'll have links in the description that kind of talk about that. So really nothing surprising there, but let's talk about the positions. So since the stocks did finish down, our puts finished at the top of the list like they usually do on days like this. So we did make a little over $2,000 between the 2 puts. You can see on the top of the screen there. So, you know, again, that was good. It kind of helped us stop the bleeding a little bit. On the second page, just a bunch of really nothing, not a lot of movement here. Third page, not a lot of movement. Our Ferrari calls did drop 25%, which hurt us pretty good. Other than that, not much going on there. Here's the fourth page. Again, I'm not checking these, so I really wouldn't pay too much attention to these. Fifth page, sixth page, seventh page. Okay, so now on the eighth page, we did have a lot of losers today. So we had a 13% drop in our Twitter calls, 14% drop in our ST Microelectronics calls on the top one there. And then second to last page, we had a 13% drop in our Square calls, which was pretty unfortunate. Nvidia and Amazon dropped. We lost about $1,000 on each of those positions, so that was pretty crappy. And then the last page just shifted down just because Alibaba didn't fit. So Alibaba did drop 13%. We lost about $1,000 on that one. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up. I didn't take much news headlines from this day, so the links are pretty much going to be talking about the uncertainty with the trade. Something to note that I do notice a lot on this last headline here, Asian stocks mixed over befuddling U.S. trade. Just in case you didn't know, obviously Asian markets, they're in a time zone way far ahead of us if you're in the United States. So their market is usually closed by the time you wake up in the morning. So sometimes it can kind of give you a good insight of what might be happening that day in your market. But I did notice that many times if the Asian stocks finish down, United States stocks could still finish up. And it does that quite often. So I don't really look at that too much, but it is something that can kind of give you a little heads up, I guess, if you're really following the news closely. Just wanted to point that out. So we're going to leave it at that. If you like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'm going to get to editing this so I can get the next one up. So we'll see you guys in the next one.